Hello again. We are continuing our discussion on linear equations by talking about linear regression and how to do that on a Casio Prism calculator. So let's get started. You have your calculators, and if you do, you will start at the home screen, which looks like that. If you're not on the home screen, press Menu, and once you're there, you're going to press 2 for statistics. We are doing some statistics. All right, and when you do that, you see some columns, list 1, list 2, and list 3, and so on. We only need list 1 and list 2 for this exercise because we're only dealing with two variables, x and y. So we're going to enter the data. All of my x values are going to go in list 1. So I'm just going to enter them one after the other, going down that column. And then once I'm done, I'm going to cursor to the right and start entering my y values. I just need to make sure that I have the same number of x's and y's in my table. Otherwise, I'm going to get an error message. And just make sure that everything that's on your paper matches everything that you put into the calculator. Okay, then we set up the graph. Very important because we need it to look like a scatter plot. So press F1 for graph, and we see some options at the bottom. It's not going to graph for us right away. It's just going to give us a new menu at the bottom of the screen that has graph 1, graph 2, graph 3, select, and set. So I need to press F6 for set, just to make sure that my graph looks good. So the graph type is a scatter plot. The x's are in list 1, the y's are in list 2, and every number has a frequency of 1. Okay? So that has to be all correct. Then when everything's done, I press the exit button and I'm back to where I was before. And it's time to look at the graph. Okay, so I press F1 for graph 1 and I see my blue dots showing up on the screen. Now if I wanted to find a line of best fit for that, I'm going to calculate it. The calculator actually gives me the best line of fit, not just some random estimate like we were doing in the last lesson. It gives me the best line for those points. So I press F1 for calc and I get some options. I get 2 var, x, med, x squared, and x cubed. We're only doing linear regression, which has x's in it, not x squareds or x cubes or any of the other stuff. So you will press F2 for x. Okay, then you get an option to make it look like ax plus b, so either y equals ax plus b or y equals a plus bx. It really doesn't matter which one of those you choose, but I always choose ax plus b because it reminds me more of mx plus b, which is what I'm used to. So I'm going to press F1 for ax plus b. And so what that means is, since that a is right by the x, that's going to represent the slope of my line, and since b is added on at the end, that's going to represent the y-intercept just like it always does. So those two numbers represent the slope and the y-intercept of my line, so I can actually write it as y equals 2.0357x minus 2.357. That's the equation of the line that best fits those points that were on the graph. Okay? And if I want to know how well it fits, I'm going to look at r and r squared. R squared in particular, r squared is going to range from 0 to 1. If it's closer to 0, it's not a really good fit for a line, which means that the data probably aren't very linear anyways. But as I get closer and closer to 1, then it becomes a better and better fit. So I'm looking at my r squared, and it's 0.9929. That's really, really close to 1. So the line, it actually fits the data very, very closely. Okay, and if I actually want to see that, I press draw, and you get to see the line on top of the dots, just so that you can see with your own eyes how well it fits. We're going to talk more about this in class tomorrow. If you have any questions, please let me know, and I will see you tomorrow.